Welcome back to Klepper's Corner, Today in History, the only show where we look at the calendar, whisper, what fresh chaos is this? And the calendar whispers back, buddy, buckle up. December 3rd is one of those days where history didn't just happen. It lunged forward, tripped over its own feet, and accidentally reinvented the world on the way down. Today we've got Cold War détente on a cruise ship, Napoleon playing snow laser tag, a Greek protest that turned Churchill into a 1940s hall monitor, the birth of Illinois, complete with light census fraud, a heart transplant that redefined death, a gas disaster that redefined corporate negligence, a video game console that redefined childhood, a few dead emperors, some moon hunting, a missing novelist, a dying impressionist, and the United Nations politely asking the world to treat disabled people like humans. It's a full buffet of historical carbs. Let's dig in. Segment 1, the seasick end of the Cold War. On December 3rd, 1989, George H.W. Bush and Mikhail Gorbachev met at Malta to unofficially end the Cold War. And they held this world-altering geopolitical moment during a raging winter storm. Because nothing says the fate of nuclear civilization like two superpowers bonding over Dramamine on a rocking cruise ship. This was the Seasick Summit, a name that tells you everything. Détente was achieved not through brilliance, but through mutual nausea. The Berlin Wall had just fallen. Eastern Europe was basically melting like a popsicle in a microwave, and the Soviet economy was so bad, even its rubles were filing for unemployment. But there they were. Two men trapped on the Maxim Gorky, waves slamming the hull while they casually mapped out the next 40 years of geopolitics. It's basically the world's most consequential sleepover. Bush says we're entering a brand new era. Gorbachev says we're leaving one epic for another. Meanwhile, the storm outside is yelling, "You sure about that, big guy?" But hey, no treaties were signed, no champagne was popped, but the Cold War ended with the world's first recorded diplomatic version of, "I'll show you mine if you show me yours," regarding nuclear reductions. Sometimes history hinges on big speeches. Sometimes it hinges on both leaders trying not to throw up on each other. Segment 2, snow, cannons, and Napoleon's favorite plot twist. Jump back to 1800, December 3rd, Battle of Hohenlinden. Think of it as Napoleon's favorite Christmas pregame. Snow everywhere, Austrians marching in single file through a dense forest, and French General Moreau waiting like the world's most smug raccoon. The Austrians thought the French were in retreat, which is adorable. That's like thinking Napoleon was going to say, "You know what? I actually don't want more territory." So the Austrians, led by an 18-year-old archduke, because nothing improves battlefield decision-making like teenage confidence, marched their giant army into a snowy maze. Moreau then springs the trap, a frontal assault combined with an ambush to the rear. The Austrians get hit from both sides, and suddenly the pursuing army becomes the "oh no, 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 turn around" army. It's a beautiful example of terrain, timing, and simply not believing an 18-year-old when he says, "Bro, trust me." The result forces Austria to negotiate, helps Napoleon consolidate power, and basically sets the stage for France to rearrange Europe like a child redecorating a dollhouse. Except with more artillery. Segment 3, the Decembriana, when Churchill said, "Shoot." December 3rd, 1944, Athens. Greece had just been liberated from the Nazis, which you would think would be a good time. But nope, cue the Decembriana, the Greek tragedy that isn't in theaters because it stars Winston Churchill accidentally kicking off a civil war. Here's the short version. The anti-Nazi resistance movement expected to help form the new government. The British said, "Sure, we love democracy," which historically means, wait for it. Then they demanded the leftist ELAS resistance disarm while letting right-wing militias keep their weapons, which is like telling only one team in a hockey game to remove their skates. Protests erupt. A huge crowd floods Syntagma Square, and then, bang! Police open fire from rooftops. It becomes the only time Allied troops fired on their own wartime allies. Greece goes from post-Nazi relief to instant civil war. And Churchill sends Scobie the order: act as if you were in a conquered city. A+ historical behavior. Truly award-winning. December 3rd, proving once again that the end of World War II was basically a global version of "we did it," kind of. Segment 4. Illinois becomes a state through math that would make a calculator cry. December 3rd, 1818. Illinois becomes a state, but not before cheating its way into the Union like a student who copies their homework from a passing stranger on the school bus. The law required 60,000 free inhabitants for statehood. Illinois had roughly 34 to 40,000. But territorial leaders really wanted roads, money, and Congress's attention. So they said, what if we lie? Census takers coded travelers, invented neighbors, and possibly counted the same guy twice if he walked in a circle. They even convinced Congress to lower the requirement, which is wild. Imagine the DMV saying, you know what? You don't need a license. Vibes are enough. And get this, Illinois entered as a free state while legalizing 99-year indentured servitude contracts. That's basically slavery with extra paperwork and a Midwestern accent. Plus, they carved out an exception to allow slavery in salt mines because national interest. That's right, slavery, but only if you're really salty about it. Illinois, where the northern border was moved just to steal Chicago, the population was estimated by optimistic math, and freedom was defined like a Mitch McConnell press release. Technically correct, practically nonsense. Segment 5. Hearts, Gas Clouds, and Burning Warehouses. A trilogy of oops and awe. December 3rd is wild for human life and death. In 1967, Dr. Christian Barnard performs the first successful human heart transplant. He literally changed the definition of death. Imagine telling a judge, look, the brain is dead, but the heart is still doing cardio. Medical ethics had a panic attack. Meanwhile, the patient wakes up with basically a rental heart and lives 18 days, which sounds short, but for 1967, it was basically a medical mic drop. Then, 1984 hits. Bhopal, India. A pesticide plant leaks methyl isocyanate gas because every safety system was either turned off, broken, or unplugged to save money. It's the worst industrial disaster in history. Thousands dead, long-term health devastation, and the corporate version of we're investigating ourselves and found we did nothing wrong. Then, 1999, Worcester, Massachusetts. Abandoned cold storage warehouse catches fire. 6 firefighters die in a labyrinth built out of cork and tar. It changed national firefighting protocols forever, and also confirmed America's long tradition of not dealing with abandoned buildings until they become literal death puzzles. December 3rd, humanity goes from we replaced your heart to we accidentally turned the air into poison to please stop storing flammable insulation in an unmarked brick dungeon. Segment 6, PlayStations, neon dreams, and Jovian moons. Time for the fun stuff. December 3rd, 1994. Sony releases the PlayStation. It destroys Sega, humiliates Nintendo after their failed CD-ROM breakup, and launches 3D gaming into the stratosphere. Overnight, children everywhere stopped blowing into Nintendo cartridges and started watching cutscenes like they were the Louvre. December 3rd, 1910. George's Claude unveils neon lighting, and immediately every future Las Vegas casino whispers, yes, this is the energy we want. Chaotic, glowing tubes of capitalism. December 3rd, 1904. Astronomer Charles Dillon Perrine discovers Himalaya, a Jovian moon that still looks like a lumpy space potato. But hey, it was a huge win for photographic astronomy, and also a reminder that Jupiter collects moons the way billionaires collect super yachts, constantly and for unclear reasons. Segment 7, dead emperors, vanishing authors, dying impressionists, and disability rights. December 3rd is also emotionally chaotic. Sometime around 311 to 312 AD, Emperor Diocletian dies. The guy literally tried to subdivide the entire Roman Empire like a real estate agent with anxiety. He retires, grows cabbages, then dies watching his successors immediately ruin everything. Relatable. 915 AD. Berengar I gets crowned Holy Roman Emperor because he helped the Pope defeat a pirate base run by Saracens. Yes, the Pope literally led a military alliance. Can you imagine modern popes organizing anti-pirate raids? Twitter would explode. 1926. Agatha Christie disappears for 11 days, triggering a manhunt including 1,000 police and Arthur Conan Doyle using a psychic to find her glove. She turns up living under the name of her husband's mistress. Peak drama. Taylor Swift could only dream. 1919. Renoir dies, having kept painting even after arthritis turned his hands into lemons. Brushes strapped to his wrist, still producing masterpieces. The man basically speed ran perseverance. Finally, since 1992, December 3rd is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. A reminder that accessibility isn't a luxury. It's a baseline requirement for civilization. And amazingly, the one December 3rd event where nobody fired on protesters, poisoned a city, or annexed a moon. In conclusion, December 3rd is a chaotic mixtape of human ambition, human stupidity, human endurance, and the occasional missing novelist. It's the day empires collapse, treaties wobble on cruise ships, video games change forever, and the world is asked, politely, annually, to be a little better toward people with disabilities. If history is a funhouse mirror, December 3rd is the one that reflects every version of us at once. The heroes, the villains, the innovators, the bureaucratic liars, the scientists poking hearts with electrodes, and the teenager in 1800 who really thought he was going to outthink the French in a snowstorm. So thanks for joining me on this historical roller coaster. And remember, if any day proves humanity can accomplish anything or ruin everything, it's December 3rd.